this like same timing, 9 p.m. IST. Okay, so Semi, it will be for 6:30 for you, and Namir, it will be for 7:30 for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you will have the Excel session from tomorrow, and we will have like three classes in a week, so at least you guys can cover the Excel course in this month only. Okay.
Okay, could you please share the top? They will share the topic as well.
Yeah, yeah, I will assign you. Okay, let me assign it right away.
So if it is there in the canvas or like a,
Yeah, it's on the canvas only. I'm
okay,
assigning you the course.
okay,
So I'll do it after the class. It's
no
better.
problem.
Okay. Okay. Now today topic is, the last one is normalization. Also, please remind me to share this script file.
Sure. So I haven't finished that project what you shared, yeah, and
Yeah, it's okay. You can take like 1 week of time, or if you want to do the
yeah, I
project
think
along with the Excel, so you can also do that.
yeah, I'll do
So,
that. I'll do that. Give me a deadline so we can at least give it a lengthy deadline, not a short deadline, long deadline.
so you can do one thing. No, like for first finish your Excel, okay, and
Yeah.
then you can submit both the projects together.
So in the Excel, I think some of the I don't know. I want to know the topics first of all. Based on
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
I will.
yeah. I'll just assign you today,
No, no
so then
problem.
you can find out the content, whatever
Okay,
we are covering. Okay.
okay,
Okay, so let's talk about the normalization. What is normalization? So basically, normalization, you can understand it step by step procedure, or definition wise, you can say it is your database design techniques. So this technique we use for improve the data integrity, and to remove or to reduce the duplicate value or redundancy. So you can say database design technique. Okay, so it is a step by step process. It is not a formula, it's not a key, or it's not a button where you just select the query and hit on the button and it will get normalized. No, it's not like that. It is a set of rules which we follow to normalize our table. Okay, so we have first normalization. This is the first step, you can say. Okay, we have the second normalization, and we have third normalization. We also have fourth and fifth, but you can skip that because it's not at all important. After third normalization, we have the strict version, that is boise. Okay, this one is important. So company follow these four rules. Any company, okay, they follow these four rules for the normalization of their table, for their database design. Okay, now why we need this normalization for the table, why it is required? As I said here, why we do the normalization: to remove redundancy. Redundancy means duplicate values. Okay, and to improve data integrity or quality. Okay, now let me show you the slides. So as I said, that normalization, it is a process of organizing data in a database where we remove the redundancy and we improve the data integrity or data quality. Okay. So what we do in normalization here, as I said, we have first normalization, we have second normalization, third normalization, and voice record normalization. Now in first normalization, what we do, we check. Okay, so suppose you have this type of table. This is a normal denormalized table, and client gave you this table, and now client is asking you that I want this table to be normalized. Okay, this is currently denormalized table. Why I can say that? Because here you see, in the phone number column, in this first row only, we have multiple values. We have two values, two phone numbers for Alex. Okay, the phone numbers are different, but the value is 2. Now here, for the David as well, in the fourth row we have two values in one row. Okay, so whenever we have such kind of table where we have multiple value in a row for a particular column or for any column, we convert that table into first normal table. So how we can do that? For that, first we create the table again. So this table must be created by someone else. And what we do to create the table, we write create table, and then we give the name of the column, then data type, and after that we use the insert into statement to fill the values inside the table. Correct? So the same thing we will follow, and now this time what we will do, again we will create the table, and now this time during the insert into statement, we will make sure for Alex we will keep one value at a time. Okay, so like that you see, after executing the query, this kind of table you will achieve. Okay, now give let me give you the example. So as I said, in first normal form, so first normal form basically says that your each column should contain atomic values, means individual values. So each row has a unique identifier, means a primary key. So first normalization says that each column have atomic values. Atomic means individual values. Okay, now suppose let's take the example of this table only. Now this is the table, and now if I want to convert this table into this table, what I will write? I will again write create table. You can give any name. So this table is all about employee. So I can say create table employee. Mm, we have so many employees. So create table employee. After that, what we will do? We will
Field names, no?
yeah, we will start writing the column names. Okay, so column names are employee ID, employee name, phone number, and salary. Employee ID. Similarly, just you need to write as it is like they have mentioned in the first table. So employee ID is there, employee name is there. Then we can take as integer type of data type. Okay, what else they have done? They have not taken as primary key. Yeah, it is taken as primary key because the values are unique. So we can write primary key. Okay. After that, we have other column as employee name. Varchar.
Excuse me, employee ID cannot be integer.
Why?
It's a mixture of little
Yeah,
than
yeah, correct, correct, right. So we can take this as varchar. So varchar, let's say 20 or 50. So it shows like how same Sammy have remembered everything. Good Sammy. Okay, varchar and 20. Okay. After that we have phone number. Phone number varchar and let's say 20, and then email varchar and 20. Okay, so this query will create the table again. Okay, now after that what I will do, once I will start writing insert into the name of the table employee 9. Okay, then what we do, we give the name of the columns. So employee id, employee name, then phone number, and after phone number email, then values. Now first I will say whatever is the employee id. Right now I'm taking it as only numbers. Okay, so employee id is their name. Okay, so what I will do, let's say I'm taking as 1 as employee id, then employee name is Alex, then phone number. So first I will give the phone number as this first one, and then second one. So here what I want to explain over here, first I have given the phone number. Okay, and let's say email. So for the Alex at the rate gmail.com. Okay, now again I will write 1 comma Alex, and then here we cannot give the primary key because it will not allow the repetitive value. So Alex comma, now this time I will take the second phone number. Okay, and the same email id, alex at the rate gmail.com. So you understood what we have done here. We have somehow removed that two values from which was in one row. Okay, so which was in one row, we have different values for Alex for the phone number column. So this time we change how we writing the insert into statement for this particular table. So this part is, you can call it as normalization. As I said, there is no shortcut, there is no formula, there is only the way how you're creating the table. So whenever you have such situation, when you have the table, okay, like this table, and you want to normalize, you want to change this table into first normalization. So again you will start writing create table statements entire query, and then insert into statement for inserting the values inside the table. Okay, clear? Clear guys?
Just a one.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Sorry. No, just a one question. Like, so you're saying that, oh, when you're getting a database, for example, a random database,
Mhm.
so there will be Have two phone numbers actually there in that file. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I'm not talking about the database, I'm talking about the table. So suppose
Ah,
you
yeah.
are
So
getting,
sorry,
yeah, you're,
sorry. Table.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, I'm saying it's table only. Sorry, I so
Yeah,
basically we use the term more or less as database. That's a database. Yeah, the table only.
yeah.
So
So here basically we are arranging the table in such a way where we are, in one row, you can see we have two phone numbers for phone number column for for this person Alex.
correct,
Similarly,
Alex. Yeah,
yeah. Similarly, for David, we have two phone numbers. Okay. So your first normal here we are arranging the thing. So suppose you have like three or four. You have four types of chocolate, and you want to keep that four types of chocolate in one box. Okay. Now it is creating a clutter situation because you have multiple choices for the chocolates, and you are keeping four different type of chocolates in one box. Now here, if I say ask you, hey Navi, please arrange these different chocolates in different box, so that I whenever I want to want to have this particular flavor, so I know that in this box vanilla flavor is there, in this box chocolate flavor is there, in this box strawberry flavor is there. So I can, once you arrange the thing chocolates in different containers, so each time I know that here I will only find out this flavor. Okay. So like that, we arrange the table in such a way to remove these, multiple values from the rows, from the columns. So this is what your first normalization says. Here in the normalization we arrange the tables.
oh,
It's not
yeah, yeah. I think,
complicated. Yeah, it's not
yeah,
the
I think maybe once it's
complication
done,
thing.
I'll get to know that basically. Okay, and I
Yeah.
understand I understand what you're teaching as, which I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Just a doubt, you're from the query, are you adding two now, and you're going to split it two? Oh, that's where you got it out. So yeah, just complete that, and then I think I will understand that.
Yeah, so we are not splitting it, we are just arranging it in the first normalization. Okay, we are just arranging the table. How we are arranging? We are writing the queries in such a way, so for the each time we are giving one phone number at a time in the insert into statement, like that here we have written insert into name of your all columns, then values, and now once you are filling the values for the Alex, one phone number I am using at a time, like that.
Okay.
Okay. So this says your first normalization.
I think
Okay.
Sami also say asking something.
Yeah,
Sami.
Sammy, do you have also you
Yeah,
have a question?
I was just wondering if we are dealing with thousands of lines, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Normally, we're not going to enter them manually in the database. So how could such an application occur if we are
See,
importing an Excel sheet, for example?
yeah,
That was I was
yeah,
just wondering.
yeah. So see, there are such queries through which you can find out if you have multiple values in your table. Okay. So by writing that queries you can have a different result where you can understand, okay, in this column or in the for this data you have multiple values. I will share that queries as well with you guys. Okay. So by just writing that query into your SQL server, it will fetch that particular value, like a group of values where you have the multiple values, so you can easily identify that values and you can simply alter your table like that. And whenever you receive such requirements from client, so they provide you the data set, their excel sheet, and then on the basis of that you can make your judgment by writing the query, okay, where you have the multiple values, where you have the null values, if you have any missing values. So for that we have the queries, for that we have the select statement, we have the not null statement, we have the null statement. So by writing that statement, we can identify where we have the missing value, where we have the multiple values, where we have the repetitive values, duplicate values basically. Okay. Sammy, you're getting it?
Yes, I'm getting it. Yes, I just and
Y-
one time
You're,
need to
you're
see.
taking that into a big picture, like how
Yes,
you
yes. I want
can.
to say because yani, until now, okay, we are learning yani with small tables of five,
Mm,
4 lines. You know what I mean? Fine,
yeah,
that
yeah.
is yani, for us to learn. But I keep wondering in the real world when it's being done, we're talking
Hmm.
about tables that have thousands of lines. So how
Right.
do these tables get into this database?
Okay, so what I will do, I will share the queries, okay, through which you can find out duplicate values or like if you want to check in which column, like if you have a large table and if you want to check in which you don't know for which column, for which row you have multiple values. For that, I will share the query. Then you execute that query, and if you're getting any result, so you let me know. If you're still getting difficulty, so once, okay, you can understand it by like okay, you have a large data set. Okay, now in that large data set, let's say you have 5 columns and you have thousand of rows. Now you don't know, you have imported that data and you don't know like in which column you have the multiple values. Okay, if you want to convert your table into first normalization, now, after executing the query which I am telling you about, you will get the result. Like how we do, if we want to fetch only two particular column from the table, we just mention the column names, right? So just like that, if we mention that queries for fetching only the multiple values from that entire table, so whenever wherever you will have the multiple values in that table, you will get only result. In your outputs, in this part, you will get only the multiple value result here. So that will help you out to identify, and you don't need to worry about that, like how I can manage. So again, you can simply alter. You have the alter statement. You can alter your table. What we can do, if you're still getting confused, we can have like one table, one big table, and for that table I will give you the query, and then you execute that query from your end. Then if you are still getting difficulty or confusion, then you can ask me. Okay, so that data I will share will be based on the real time only. We can also take data from the adventure works as well. Okay.
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 All right. So right now, just understood what is normalization over here, why we are using it. Because as I said, it is a step-by-step process. So each step is linked with each other. Okay. So here in the first normalization, what we have done, we have removed the multiple values from the row by simply writing insert into where we have given Alex with for Alex, there was two phone number, and for each time we are giving different phone numbers uh, for different rows. So after executing it, this kind of result you will get. For Alex will come 2 times, but still the phone number will be in one row only each time. Okay. For the David as well, you see we have there we had two phone numbers, and after writing the query, we had one phone number in one row only. Now, if I talk about the second normalization, second normalization says that the first rule is that your table must be in first normalization, first normal form. Okay, this is the first rule. And second rule says there should be no partial dependency. Okay, what do you guys understood by partial dependency?
Between
And
the
one
email
line does not,
Alex at Gmail. Sorry, Sunny, etc.
I don't know, of partial dependency, one line does not depend on the values of another one.
Kind of this, yes.
Sort of like a
So I
formula or
can,
something.
no, I can say that my non-key attribute, okay, my non-key attribute should not depend on, I can say one part of my composite key. Okay, before going further, let me explain three things. Okay, first is composite key, or I think I should start with super key. Mm, okay, let's break down it here. Super key, we have composite key, and we have candidate key. Okay, these three keys we have. Now, what is super key? So, super key, you can say your set of one or more columns. Okay, set of your one or more columns that basically uh, or no, I think I should try that uniquely. Sorry, that uniquely identify a row in your table. So, okay. Let me first write the definition, then I'll explain. So just whenever I talk about the normalization, so these 3 points, these three keys come into the picture, and they are important to understand, because whatever rules we set on normalization, uh, these three keys plays a important role. Okay, so super key, you can say set of one or more columns that uniquely identifies a row in your table. Okay, who wants to give me example of super key? So suppose this is the table we have. Okay, this is the table we have, and now in this table, okay, I think in this table we don't have. Now you see, this is the table we have. Now you guys tell me, what is the super key over here?
Employee ID.
Employee ID, yes, it is uniquely identifies this row. Yes. Also, as I said, it is a set
Dep-
of one
Department,
or more. Yeah, department ID also you can take.
I think looks like everything super.
It does, yes.
So basically, what I want to explain over here, that it is a set of one or more columns that uniquely. So you guys are understanding this one, right? That
That
this
unique.
uniquely identifies a row in your table. And now if I talk about the composite key, so somewhere they are, similar kind of definition is there. So you might get confused. So that is why I'm writing. Okay. So composite key, you can understood it by uh, again two or more columns uh, where you can say it have two or more columns. Okay, and they use when you can say a single column is not enough mm, to uniquely mm, identify a row. Sammy, what do you understand by this definition? Sammy,
I,
Sammy.
it's not clear, to be honest with you. We need to see an example maybe to understand it better. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay. So let's
w-
see. Suppose you have one table. Let me give the example of the super key. Okay. So suppose we have a student table, and that's in that student table we have columns like, let's say, student ID. Okay. We have one column as email. We have one column as name, and we have one column as phone. Okay, these four columns we have in the student table. Here we are understanding the super key. Okay, now here if I talk about what will be the super key, so here student ID and email will be super key. Okay, why student ID is super key? Because it is uniquely identifying each student. Okay, and why email is super key? Why email is super key? Because email is also, what it is doing, it is identifying the uh, uh, email of each student. So here I can say that student ID and email column are the super key.
why not phone also? Even phone is unique, or no?
Phone is also unique, you can say, but mm,
If two brothers go to the same school, they can have
yeah,
the same
yeah,
house
like
phone.
that. If the same family member they are sharing the same phone number, so there can be confusion. Their student ID can be unique, their email can be unique, but if they are using the same phone number for like if their parents, obviously their parents will be same, and if same phone number is using for both of the students, so it might get confusion, right?
They could
So I
also
can
share the
say
same email.
no, no. So email will be different. They will can be created by the school. So okay, let me remove phone. It's better to remove phone from here. Let's say address. Okay. So this time when we have these four columns, here I can say that student ID and email is a super key because both of the columns are uniquely identify each student. Got it? Don't focus on the phone number column. I was just explaining through the example that what will be the super key. So basically super key focus on which column uniquely identify a row in your table. Now if I talk about the composite key, so suppose we have one table where we have let's say student ID. We have, let me just enter, we have student ID, we have, let's say, course ID, and we have grade. Okay, we have these three column in the table. Now here, what is the composite key? So composite key, as I said, that have two or more columns, and we use this composite key when a single column is not enough to identify your row. So when I say that student ID alone is not unique, so basically a student can take multiple courses. Also, here the course ID is also not unique because many students can take the same course, right? When I talk about the the combination of student ID and course ID, now this time I can say that course ID and student ID together they are forming the composite key because they both are the unique columns, but they alone they are not enough to identify any particular row, because as I said, a student can take multiple courses and many student can take the same course. Okay, but when we combining this student ID and course ID together, so we can say that together make a composite key because they uniquely identify each row. So
So
this is the meaning of,
looks like
yeah,
concatenation, right?
yeah, you can say that. So you can say that for the composite key that here I have combined, we are not doing anything, but we are telling that this student ID column and course ID column together they are forming the composite key. Okay. Right now we are understanding the super key, composite key, and what the third one, candidate key. Because once you understood the definition, and then when we apply these uh, words into the definition of first normalization, second normalization, third normalization, then you can relate why I'm talking about this. But here just understand that if I am talking about the super key, so I can say that set of one or more columns that uniquely identify a row in your table, that will be a super key. In the student table, your student ID and your email is super key. Okay, when I talk about the composite key, so composite key can be two or more columns where like this student ID column is not enough to uniquely identify a row. Similarly, this course ID column is not enough to uniquely identify a row. Now when I once I combine both of the rows, and I am saying this, now this student ID and course ID combining forming a composite key. So now I can say that they are maybe individually they were not enough, but now together they are enough to identify a row uniquely. Okay. Now the third is the candidate key. So again, let's take the same example where we had in the student table, we had the student ID, we had email, we had name, and let's say uh, address or phone number. Okay. Now candidate key is, you can say, minimal super key or super key with no extra columns. Okay. So you can also call it as your potential primary key. So understood the difference. In the super key, we are telling it as a set of one or more column. Okay. Now in the candidate key, we are saying it only one column, not a set. That column that uniquely identifying a row, and no extra column is needed over here. Only one column is enough. So in this case, I can say that student ID alone is enough to uniquely identify each student. Okay. And if I talk about email, so email is also enough to identify each student's I can say that Naveer email ID is this, so I can identify, okay, this email ID belongs to Naveer, or this email ID belongs to Semi. So basically, student ID and email are candidate keys, but student ID email is not these have they don't have any extra column. Okay. uh, how I can explain this? So suppose if you have the student ID, name and phone, these three columns in your table. Okay. So for you, which column will be primary key? Guys, which
Student,
column will be primary
student
key?
ID only. No?
Sorry?
Student ID is the primary key we can
Yeah,
use, right?
right. Student ID will be
Excuse me,
prime.
Pranjali.
Yeah.
Imagine we have this table, student
Mm-hmm.
ID,
Hmm.
name, the same table that you put. What if we add course ID?
You want to add course ID in the same
Yes,
table.
yes.
Okay.
So here you can have two rows with the same student ID.
I'm not getting your point.
We can have two rows with the same student ID.
Yeah, we can have that.
So student ID
But
cannot be the primary
so
key,
here
right?
what we will do, here we will combine this student ID and course ID together to form a primary key.
This
And
is
these
something
both columns will,
we did not know.
okay, suppose you don't know the student ID or course ID, what you're saying.
No, no, I didn't know you can combine. What I'm saying is my question is,
Mm-hmm.
if we have such a table where we have student ID,
Mm-hmm.
course ID,
Mm-hmm.
name, and
Mm-hmm.
phone, okay?
Okay, okay.
What will be the primary key here? That
So, okay, in this table, your primary key will be your student ID and your course ID. So, together we will call this student ID and course ID as composite key.
no, but initially each one is a column by itself, correct?
Yeah, so for that you must have different tables. So you can have you will have like one table where you have the student ID details, and you have one table where you will have the course details. And if you are joining these tables together, okay,
No,
so
I'm not joining. It's one table by one table.
okay,
Student ID course.
suppose you
Yeah,
have this, let's say, suppose that you have the table as student I where you have the student ID, you have the course ID, okay, and the name, and let's say phone number.
yes,
Okay, now let's start filling the details. So my first student is Sammy. Course ID, let's say, is am01. Name, okay, Sammy. Student ID is S01. M01 is course ID. Name is Sammy. And the phone number is this. Now you tell me, on the basis of this table, can you tell anyone Sammy have enrolled for which course? Like you don't know what is
no,
M01, right? You cannot
no.
tell, right?
I could be in another course also. I could be enrolled in two courses, three courses.
Yeah, so that is fine. So, for that, if you have enrolled for multiple courses, okay, so I can write S01 have enrolled for M02, again Sammy. But still, can you tell me on the basis of this for which course you have enrolled?
Yes, M01
But
and M02.
M01 is then like it belongs to which subject? It is just a code.
It's okay. We can add a column, another column with the name of the course. That's
Yeah, but here you just gave me one situation where you have only three, four columns.
I gave you a situation where I'm confused. I did not know what could be the primary key here, because we can
Mhm.
have different
You have,
rows with
yeah, obviously. So primary
yeah.
key remember this whenever you're assigning the primary key. Suppose you're creating the table and you know that these column you want to have in your table. Okay, and you know that your student id will be so you relate whatever column you're creating with live examples. So you just imagine, okay, you are running one school where you have students, where you have different courses. Okay, now obviously each student will have a unique number. So I will say obviously my student id will be my primary key. Okay, and this case, if I say where you are saying that you have the course id, so I will make sure in one table I will only keep the information about the student, where I will have their student id, their name, their phone number, and their address. This is called the management. This is how you design your database, this is how you design your tables, so at least you don't get confused with it. Okay, the situation you gave me, it can you can also receive such situation from the client, that you have one table in which you have entire details, and you they want to separate that tables where they can have only details about the employee, where they can only have details about their salaries or their address or their personal information, their birthday details, their blood group, their health insurance details. So like that they do. So here we are learning how we can manage our database, how we can design our database in such a thing, in such a way we can organize it. So whenever somebody wants to read, somebody wants to understand from the database, they want to read the table, they want to fetch particular details from the table about any employee, about any student, they can simply write the query and they can do that. Now in this case, I ask you, Semi, please, suppose you have this table. Okay. Now, if I ask you, Semi, can you please fetch the detail of Alex? I want to know what is the phone number of Alex. Okay. Now, you will write the query, select phone number from employee, where employee name is equals to Alex. Okay. So, in the output, you will get two phone numbers. Okay, now you are not sure which phone number is active or which phone number is switched off. Now if I will be designing the same table, what suppose Alex have given me two phone numbers, so I will ensure that I will check which phone number is working. So for the emergency contact, I can simply write Alex have given me two phone numbers. First phone number is emergency, and the second phone number is his personal phone number. We can ping him anytime. So like that I will think of, okay, I can design my table in such a way, if somebody wants to have emergency number of Alex, they can simply they can simply write the query to fetch the emergency contact only. But for that I should have a different row. In one row I cannot identify this, but in the second row I can write that this phone number is emergency contact. Here I can add the details while creating the table. So this is the purpose of normalization. It is not just whenever I talk about the normalization, or we talk about the normalization here, these three key come into the picture, because to understand the phenomena, what kind of roles we are applying over the table to organize that table. So here, because we have different columns, but here we know that if we have one column which is uniquely identify any row, so here in this case we have the employee id, which is a unique value. Okay, name can be different, phone number can be same, as we say maybe for if we are creating the student table. So here just don't focus on that, I'm talking about the phone number column, and you say that phone number can also be unique. So sometimes it can happen, there can be situation maybe in your company, husband and wife are working and they are using the same phone number. Okay, and if I say, Semi, I want to have detail of the employee, this is the phone number I have and I want you to fetch the details. Okay, suppose that husband and wife they are using the same phone number. Now when you try to fetch the details on the basis of this particular phone number, you will get two datas, okay, in the result. Now how you will identify which record your boss was talking about? How you will identify? You tell me. But if you know that their employee ID, you can identify, okay, my boss was talking about this particular employee because employee ID is unique. Okay, phone number can be or cannot be unique if same employee, like if somebody is using the same no phone number, like family members are using the same phone number. So this is obviously a critical or you can say a exceptional situation, but this can happen. But it cannot happen with the employee ID. Employee ID will be unique always. It will not be same for even like even husband and wife are working, so employee ID will be unique. They cannot share the same employee ID, right? I hope I cleared your confusion.
Right. Okay. Right.
I think yeah, I can tell about one database what we received recently.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we got a customer database,
Okay.
and which is registered in the Dubai trade system. Actually, it's a system which uses entire Dubai region where to identify the data and everything. Yeah. So I'm not going to Dubai trade system. So basically, so we got 150 customers,
Mm-hmm.
and the phone number which mentioned as the company phone number, and there are
Okay.
six contacts persons, six different email ID. But the
Mm-hmm.
phone number of all those six persons is actually one number because that's a company email, company number they mentioned as the
Right.
phone number.
Right. Right.
So we were not able to identify because there is no primary key in the database. So that's we
Mm-hmm.
got in Excel actually.
Mm-hmm.
And what I had done, we count I put a function like count of people from that. Uh, so how many? Six people. And we were actually we created a mapping function there, like based on the designations, like starting from director, general manager, manager, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually done a VLOOKUP based on the company name and whoever is under that category, only
Mm-hmm.
that only select that person only. So we put a primary key in there, like based on the category, right? Like manager, director, because that's only case, only one condition I can use in the database. There is no other choice. So
Right.
wherever the destination came as the director, based on that order, the director,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I assigned a number to that. Two, three, one, some of the number.
Yeah. So unique number you gave, so at least you can identify like
Yes.
for which record they were talking
I'm
about.
not saying that is a 100% accurate database. It could be like two director. What we can do?
Mm-hmm.
We can't do anything. Right? So
Right.
somewhere we manage that. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
But that through Excel only. But yeah, I
Okay,
think
I'll share the entire one file where I have written the queries for finding, duplicate values, or to check the partial dependency, or how we can check the transitive dependency in the table, or how we can check like we have read about the constraints, right? In the constraint, we have applied the rules over the columns where we if we want to check if we have used the check constraint, so there we used to give certain situation or condition, and if we are not giving the condition while writing the into statement, so we used to get the error message like you are violating this check constraint rule, or you're violating the primary key constraint rule or not null rule. So like that there are certain queries. Okay, it comes into the advanced form, but still I will provide that query. Okay, so that query will help you out to identify if you have multiple values, if you have duplicate values, if you have transitive dependency, if you have the partial dependency in your table. So through that you can check. It is very easy, it is not very difficult query, and everything you have already read about, like function I'm talking about. But how to write the queries to find these values, that you can learn from that file I will share. Okay.
so. You'll share Excel with these what do you call these kind of a tables, right?
Yeah, for SQL I will share, like SQL queries I will share.
Okay. And then you will share the Excel as well, or do you integrate some database
No, no,
system?
not in Excel. Excel will be different. Okay, so Excel mentor will share their part, but I will I will share my SQL part. So if you and
Okay.
you can utilize that same query for the
Okay.
Adventure Works dataset as well, because in an Adventure Works dataset the table are not short. Okay, the tables are bigger. So there you can apply these that queries. Okay.
Where is this advantage database? I didn't.
Yeah, okay, that one is also pending. Adventure Works.
Yeah, because initially also it said, and I'm wondering where is that?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me finish the normalization. Just
Yeah.
a definition is there in the normalization. After completing that, I will tell you guys how you can install the Adventure Works. Okay.
And one thing like basically I'm not much understand about what you're talking about. Is again like once we do the trial thing through the database, then we will be able to understand what exactly we understand in terms of theoretic basis what's the purpose of this, but how
Okay.
to implement or how to execute till now I didn't understand.
Okay.
So
I'll
I think
share.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll share that notes as well. Okay.
okay, no
Let
problem.
me let me just let me finish this. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Then I'll share the notes. In that we can create some tables and okay. So let me talk about we have already talked about the first normalization, where what we are doing, we are just removing this multiple values, okay, by writing simple insert into statement. Okay, that part is, I hope, is clear. Sammy.
Yes, yes, clear. No, no issues. That's clear. Yes.
Okay. Now, as I said, in the second normalization, the first condition is that your table must be in the first normalization form. Okay. Now here we remove the partial dependency. What is partial dependency? Means your non-key attribute. Okay. So in this table, what is the non-key attribute?
It's like office location.
Yes, office location is non-key attribute. Why it is non-key attribute? Because this particular column is not uniquely identifying your row. Okay. Office location for employee ID can be same. For Sami and for Navir, I can say the office location is Bangalore. Okay. So office
Okay.
location can be same, obviously. So I can say this office location is a non-key attribute. So here comes your partial dependency into the picture. Okay. Now this particular table has a composite primary key, which is your employee ID and your department ID. Composite primary key, why I'm telling this? Because it is a combination of two columns which they are together, they are forming a primary key. Here, okay. And here I can say this office location column. Okay, this office location column is depending on the department ID. Okay, now here understand this. We had three columns. The first column is employee ID. The second column was department ID. And the third column was office location. Now, what did your second normalization form says? Your second normalization form says if you have such a table where you have the composite key, okay, composite key means your employee ID and department ID, they are together forming a primary key. Okay, they are both uniquely identifying a row. So in that case, your non-key attribute, which is your office location, which is not uniquely identifying this office location row or column. Okay, so this should be depending on both employee ID and department ID. But right now in this case, what is going on? Your non-key attribute means your office location is only depending on your department ID, okay, which is a part of your composite key. Means here it is partially depending on one part of your composite key, not the other part. Okay, so this is what we are saying as partial dependency. You guys are getting it?
But what's the purpose?
See, purpose is basically to organize the data. That is the purpose of normalization, nothing else. Just to organize the data. And if you don't want to do it, you can skip the normalization. But sometimes the requirement comes, okay, like Navir was telling about the situation where in the table the phone number was similar, and they
Unfortunately,
had,
I'm using my personal laptop. If I have my company laptop, because there is no SQL or nothing there.
yeah.
So yeah, it would have been easy to show or share that screen. But this actually, and the other one is I can share some data with Sami if we share your email ID, though it'll be easy. Uh, so that because I worked on that, that's what I understand. Otherwise, I
Yeah,
couldn't. Yeah, just for info, I couldn't.
yeah,
So because I worked on that, I guess just got to know that suddenly when you said the phone number, yeah,
yeah,
because the company people
yeah.
don't want to share their number in
Their personal
the
details,
public yeah, in
right?
the public platform. That's a public platform. Divider is a public platform, right?
Correct,
So
correct.
the contact number is always the company number. Could be
Mhm.
extension, could be there, but they give the board number only always. Yeah, that's why I know that. But in this, still I'm confused. Like Sami asked, in what in what occasion this will be useful for us? Like give me an example based on that something. Similarly, what I said, the phone number you have.
Mhm, mhm. Right. So see what happens now. As I said, it is just how you organize your data, and it comes into the picture when a client have lots of table and they don't have any idea like what kind of details they are having in that table, and they get confused with each time whenever they are fetching the data from that table. So rather than getting confused, they ask the companies if they can arrange their tables properly. So each time they are looking into the tables, they will understand, okay, this table is all about employees, this table is all about student data, this table is all about inventory, like that only. We are arranging the table, but for arranging the table there are certain rules which we need to follow on SQL.
So
That's it.
even if you look at the left side, Object Explorer, I can see Bakery, Benjamin, Bendy, Close. I don't know anything about that data table, for example.
Okay.
So yeah, adventure. I don't know what is adventure. So it's saying that I'm a guy who came coming into this company and I'm going to. They were telling that we need to know some information like the top 10 sales people from all of the database. Example. I don't know where the data is lying right now. So is that the case? What are you saying, or like?
No, 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 no. That's not the case. Here, these are the database. I am talking about the tables, particular
Okay.
tables.
Take I want table. Take
Okay.
one
So
adventure from that.
suppose in adventure database, this is one table.
Yeah.
Like this is the
Yeah.
table
These are tables. Yeah.
database log. Okay. Or let's
Yeah.
say human resources department. Okay. So let me first like use.
What is the database log means is a text which you can see all what are the databases there or
Yeah,
like
yeah. No, it's just a table.
table only. Okay.
Yeah, table name.
What is this adventure?
It is a sample database which
Uh-huh.
is provided by Microsoft. These in the sample database you can find out lots of table, and these tables are basically based on the real data. So companies they share their real time data so that people can practice their SQL
Oh,
queries.
How we can down? How we can get in our?
Yeah, that I will tell you. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay, so right now I'm inside the adventure box and now I will write select everything from, let's say, human resources dot department. Okay, this is not the table which I have created, but somebody else have created. This is the table where we
Yeah.
have the department ID, name, group name, and modified date. That's it in one table.
Okay.
Okay. Right now in this table, there is no multiple value. Only till 6 rows are there. 16 rows are there.
Yes.
So I can see there is no multiple values. Even I have checked multiple tables in this adventure works. There were no multiple value in any table, any of the
Okay.
table. Okay, but to check the multiple value, we have one query how we can do that. So if I write the query for that, okay, if you want to check like if you want to check the duplicate value, okay, so right now I can see there is no duplicate value, but
Yeah.
if I write select let's say in this name column, or let's say in group name, let's have the find out the duplicate value. So group name, and let's count, and then from your human resources dot department, okay, and then group by. So see this practice, I'm writing this because I have done lots of practice so that I am able to write these queries. Okay, but don't compare me with you. Okay, you are just a beginner, you are still practicing, you are still learning. So don't just feel why I'm not able to write these things. I have not understood. So don't just compare. Okay,
You don't
I'm
compare.
just
We will ask questions. Only. Don't worry.
don't.
Am I right, Sami?
Yes, sure, sure. We cannot compare to the master.
Yeah. Yes. That's why we are in the classes, right?
We are still beginners, toddlers.
Toddlers. That's
So
true.
see, this query gave me like in the group name column, it gave me the duplicate values. So you see, executive general and administrator come for 5 times, inventory management come for the 2 times, manufacturing come for the 2 times, quality assurance come for the 2 times. So like that we can check what are the multiple or duplicate values we have in the table. So just writing a simple query we can do that. So this query is to check multiple values, oh sorry, duplicate values. Okay, you can apply the same query in any table, for any table, for any column. So if I again want to check for the name column, so for that I will write here just name, and again in the group by just name, and simply execute this one. So there is no duplicate value in the name column. And if you want to verify, so execute it, and from here you can see there is no duplicate value. Each name is unique. There is no multiple or duplicate value, repetitive value, right?
A small dot. You already explained this to us, but again, just asking. Select
Mhm.
name, count, star. If you're not putting that function, it will stop the count will stop in the first line itself, or it will not count it.
Yeah, it will not count it. So
So if you
count,
want,
obviously count is important. Count function is important because we are counting, we are asking the SQL server to have the count. So this count function will return the count. So like that, if we have applied this count for the group name, okay, for the group name column, so you see it gave the count
okay.
in the return. Okay, so this is the count. Right now it is showing as no name, so you can also give a name as like as total count. See, like that.
Now, if you're not putting star, what will be the result? Error?
This one.
Yeah. In case I missed out, for example.
Yeah, yeah, obviously it will give error.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Okay. All right. So I hope this one is now clear. Still confused?
Parjali,
See.
just one question
Mm-hmm,
quickly. You know, like you executed an action right now, okay, and you got a result.
okay.
Let's say we are working on huge tables and we get a result of 1,000 lines, okay?
Hmm. So that is
Are
your
these
bad luck
lines,
then.
yeah, are these lines, is the result exportable, yani?
No, no.
Or does it remain on the screen only, the result?
Yeah, yeah, on the screen only. You can
Only?
take screenshot, or like working on the database, you can just have the idea that this is temporary. Whatever you're getting in the output, that will be temporary.
I know it's
Nothing is.
temporary, but the idea of analyzing data, normally you should be able to keep, when you analyze data, you cannot yani,
You want to like
export the result.
download the output like that you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just asking her because I still don't understand what the data. I mean, I've never done data analysis before, so I don't know
Mm-hmm.
whether when you query the table and you get the result and it's 1,000 lines,
Mm-hmm.
and surely you cannot export them to another form to have to keep it or.
Mm. Okay, what's your takeout in this, Navir? Do you have any idea?
Just repeat the question then once again. Like I don't have any idea.
Actually, you can download. I have done this before, but I really don't get chance for like a thousand of data. So there was like in the result you can download in CSV or Excel.
I've seen that many times, but I couldn't find that
Yeah,
option which is here.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
for info. Because whenever I requested my team, so the IT team has shared the screen and asked about which are the fields. So I have to provide all the field lines and everything, which
Yeah,
because they
it
are not
was.
aware. Then they downloaded, put in the Excel and sent to me.
There
But
was
I
one
didn't.
query as well. There was one query as well. Okay,
Let me see.
let me check the query. Let me write it. If it will download this. Sammy's question are always unique,
Always unique and new as well.
It's
new.
because I'm looking as from a
Hmm?
fresh angle because I'm not yani from the what you call it,
Yeah,
from
that's
this
helping us to
domain.
be frank. Yeah? Don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah.
I'm
Don't
not
worry.
complaining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even I am also not complaining. Don't worry.
Don't worry.
So task and then export
I got
in
it, got it, got it.
data.
Go to right click on the table.
Yeah,
So the
I did the right click. I did the right click.
but I can export in CSV.
See, okay. You're getting
Just
this
go.
option. Even I also right click on that.
Just right click result, right click. Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, then
Yeah,
go to save result as.
save result as. Yes, now it is showing. Yeah,
Hey,
CSV.
Sami.
Yes, Sammy. Good,
Great,
Sammy.
Nabil.
Good
Thank
question.
you. Now I feel happy
Yeah,
because it
Yeah,
doesn't.
but
Yeah,
there's one more option. One more
there is
option,
one
like
more. This is not the
from
option,
the
yeah. This is not
task
actually.
and export data.
Ah,
Okay, and then from here, just click on next, and from here, uh, choose your data, Microsoft Excel, and then somewhere we provide the Excel file. Somewhat, I'll tell you. Don't worry. I know this how
this
it
is
works
this is
from
our
here as well.
shortcuts there. I don't know anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah. It just use the shortcut then. But
Yeah,
at least
because I still remember that they were downloading this data because it
yeah,
will show you the.
I was clicking on this result, no? So that is why I was not getting that option. But I
Okay.
think on clicking on this, we are getting this option. Save result at that's it. Okay, Sammy, any other confusion?
no, that's fine. That's fine.
Now you're happy?
Yeah, I'm happy now. Makes
So
sense now.
so shall I complete the normalization?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Okay. All right. So as I said in the second normalization, here in this table, in this particular table, okay, our employee ID and department ID together, they are forming the primary key. We are calling this primary key as composite key, okay, because it is a combination of two columns. Now here our office location, which is a non-key attribute, okay, it is depending on the department ID but not in the employee ID. So I can say this office location is partially depending on the department ID, means one part of the composite key which is department ID, but not the other part of the composite key which is the employee ID. So I can say there is a partial dependency in this table. Okay, now to remove this partial dependency, what I will do, okay, I will simply split my tables, okay, into either in two tables or either in three tables, where I can have like information about department in one table, employee in one table, and employee ID and department ID in another table. So like that I'm talking about. Here we have removed the partial dependency by splitting that table into two different table. Okay, in one table we have keep this department ID and office location together, and in one table we have keep this employee ID and department ID together. Now, as I said, in the second normalization, it says that there should be no partial dependency in the composite key. So now in this table, department ID is a primary key, and now this office location is directly depending on the department ID. Similarly, here employee ID and department ID both are the primary key and they are depending on each other. So there is no partial dependency now in both of the tables. So what we have done in the second normalization, we have removed the partial dependency by splitting the table into two different tables. Okay, clear? And now you are, if you ask like what is the use, what is the purpose, so again the purpose was to remove the partial dependency because I wanted to have my table in the second normalization form. So my rule of the second normalization says that my table should be in the first normalization and there should be no partial dependency. Okay, let's take one more example for the second normalization form here. So suppose I have one table where I have, let's say, order ID, I have product ID, I have product name, and I have customer name. Okay, these are the columns I have in table: order ID, product name, and customer name. Okay, now I can say in this table, my product name is depending on product ID. Okay, and my customer name uh, depend on order ID. Okay. Now, if I talk about in this particular table, what will be my composite primary key? Can you guys tell me? It is very simple to find out what is the primary key in this table, which is the column which is uniquely identify a row.
It's
Order
customer
ID
name
could be
and
like,
order
Yes,
ID,
order ID and
and customer name.
customer name.
no customer name can be there can be many Semi, there can be many Naveed, but what
Yeah, it's good.
one more
But
column is there which will be unique.
order ID, product ID could not be unique,
Yeah,
no?
no, why? If
Because
you
if one, two, three as an order, two, three for another order, can order the same goods, right? Oh, no, 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 no. Because when the
no,
order ID is there, then product ID always become, yeah, I
yeah,
understand.
so order ID and product ID in this table are, I can say, composite key, right? So now, as I said in this table, my product name is depending on the product ID. Okay, product ID is part of the composite key, and my product name is not depending on the order ID. Again, my customer name depending on the order ID column, but not on the customer ID column. Sorry, not on the product ID column. Okay, so I can say that there is partial dependency because my non-key attribute, which is product name and customer name, they are partially depending on one part of the composite key, not the entire composite key. So what I will do, I will split my tables. In one table I will have my order ID and my customer name, and in the second table I will have my product ID and product name. Okay, and now I will have the third table where, because I want to make sure that these tables should be linked. So for that I will create the third table. In the third table I will keep order ID and order ID and product ID. Okay, clear? Confusion? Guys, please speak.
That's
Yeah,
clear.
we're
That's
trying
it.
to
Good line.
absorb it.
Not
Okay.
100% is like theoretically ways I'm understand to be frank. Yeah.
Yeah, so here just understood the concept. Okay, understood what is the rules, what are the limitations. That's it. Okay, once you understood that what is first normalization, what is second normalization, what is third normalization, then you will have the clear picture. Whenever you have such situation, you can simply do that. Right now we are just understanding it by simple example. Okay, now when you will have the table, obviously in the table you will have the data. By just seeing the data, you can uh, uh, understood that okay, here that in this row. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's select everything from human resources dot depart not employee pay history. Okay. Okay. Now here we have business entity ID. rate change date, rate, pay frequency, modified date. Okay. In this table, which is the column you can say which have the unique values, and
Business
if I
entity
want to,
ID, I guess.
yeah, yeah, right. And now if I am not sure about the rate change rate, rate column, pay frequency column, so what I will do, I will simply execute this query, okay, to check the duplicate values. So here I will write, let's say I want to check for uh, rate change date. This is my column for which I want to check from human resources dot. What was the table? Employee pay history, yeah. And group by rate change date. Okay. Okay. So you see here it gave me a duplicate value. It is showing that this particular value is coming for the two times in the table. This particular value is coming for the three times in the table. This particular value is coming for the four times in the table. That means this value, this row is definitely not unique. Similarly, we can check for other column as well. We can check for, let's check for business entity ID. Okay. So this is the simple practice you can do while working on the real data. Clear? Obviously, not everything is just a shortcut. We have to work on the large data sets. Okay, again, it is also not a unique column because this business entity ID is coming for three times in the table. So it is also not a unique value. So this is how you can check. Just by seeing the first page, we were thinking that this business entity ID was unique, but no, it is not unique. Now I can see that this 16 are coming for three times. We have three rows for 16. Even this is not unique value.
In
So
this case, if we need to
there is
create unique ID, what we will do then?
yes, you need to run the query to check the duplicate value. We cannot see there. You can see there are total 316 rows in this table. So
But
So
that
there's
is
you,
no
because
primary
of,
key here, correct?
sorry,
There's no primary key here.
there is no primary key here. There is no primary key.
so without primary key, how you will walk like, in case I find to know what is
No,
the total.
yeah, so it's see, primary key is not a necessary thing. It's just a rule which you can or you cannot. It's up to you. If you want, you are creating a table and you want to have like unique values in your table. So for that you can apply primary key, but it is not a necessary or compulsory thing that you
But
need
for
to apply
example,
only.
now for example, this business identity ID here. This is a rate, change date, rate, and everything. And the
Mhm.
table has the same header with an extra column called as the commodity names, for example. Right. Then obviously we will connect this data with other one, right, to get the commodity of those business entity ID. When the even in this case there are a lot of duplicates as well. How the system will understand that which I would allocate under which name or which date.
See,
The-
somewhere in this business entity ID, no, somewhere in any of the table it will be unique. Let me check. So I'm checking in department table.
I'm just asking only, like I'm not
No,
challenging
no.
your database.
Yeah, yeah. See, Navir, what happens? No, whenever we have like multiple tables. So you see here, we have multiple tables like human resources dot
Yeah,
department,
yeah.
human resources dot employee. So somewhere we have these table. They are linked between each other. Okay,
Okay. So
they
you
are
have to
not
identify
different.
that.
Yeah, we can identify through that. Like I am checking like human resources dot department. Just above the pay history table, I am checking this department table. Okay, let's see if I can find out somewhere in any of the table this entity ID was will be the primary key. There is no
Yeah.
entity ID column. If I check in the sorry, employee department history. Okay,
You can do right click,
employee.
copy paste.
No shortcut, Navi. Yeah. So
Business
yeah,
entity
here
ID.
here we have the business entity ID column, and let me check this time. So I need to change the table name as human resources dot employee department history, right? Let's check it here. Here it is also we have
Duplicates.
repetitive. Yeah, here. So maybe that is why they have given this data set for the practice.
Okay. Got it.
Mm, okay, I also want to check employee table. Human resources dot employee. Do we have the entity ID over here? There's no entity ID column, is there, right? Yeah, it's there. It's there. It's there. Now here, if I check human resources dot employee, I hope it's unique here. Yes, it's unique here in the employee table. Means it is a primary key in the employee table. See, this is how you can find out. Guys, at least say something. You are
Yeah,
on
yeah.
mute.
I was just thinking how many business identity ID was were in that table.
Okay. So, as I said, no, these all the tables are interlinked between each other. So that is why I simply one by one check by now this person dot address, it's completely a different table. But we have person dot address type, person dot business entity. So now these tables are linked between each other. Okay, but we have for the human resources we have one, two, three, four, five tables. So we can also apply the join in these five tables because somewhere the columns are common. Okay, guys, now let's proceed with our topic, which was normalization, if you remember.
We
Okay.
forgot normalization. Now we have to do.
Yeah. Okay. So now we come into the third normalization, and your third normalization says, okay, your third normalization says that obviously the first rule will be the table should be in second normal form, means it should be in the second normalization form. And now the second rule says in the third normalization form, what we do, we remove transitive dependency. Now, what is transitive dependency? Any idea?
We have, I have absolutely no idea.
Very simple. Okay. Transitive dependency means when your non-key attribute should not depend on another non-key attribute. That's it. That is what your third normalization says. Okay. Now suppose you have one table where you have employee ID column, you have employee name column, you have department ID column, mm, you have, let's say, department name column. Okay. So in this table, you have four columns: employee ID, employee name, department ID, and department name. Okay. Now here your department name depending on department ID,
Department
right?
ID. Yeah.
Yes, department ID. But it is not directly, I can say, uh, depending on employee ID, employee ID column. Means, what does it means? Means my department name is transitively depending on the employee ID, not directly depending on the department ID. So for that, what I will do, I will split my tables. How I will split my tables? In one table, I will keep my employee ID, employee name, and department name, department ID in one table. In my second table, I will keep only my department ID and department name. So here my department name is now directly depending on the department ID, and here in one table I have employee ID name and department ID. So here what I have done, I have removed the transitive dependency where my non-key attribute is not directly depending on the another non-key attribute. Clear? So basically, okay, let's take this slide table example as well. Okay, now see, here we have student ID, we have student name, subject ID, subject and address. Okay, now here my student ID is determining my subject ID, and subject ID is basically depending on the subject. So it is actually creating a confusion. Uh, mm, how I can explain this? Big task. Okay, so here just focus on student ID. Okay, so basically, if I know the student ID and I know the subject ID, so I can simply say that in this table, in this particular table, here just skip the student name column. Okay, my student ID is basically determining this subject ID column, and that is why my student ID is determining the subject via subject ID. Means what is going on here? This is determining this particular column, and because this student ID is determining this subject ID column, it is also determining the subject column, because of it is determining the subject id column. It is very confusing. It's better if we can take this example. Very simple example. Here, here in this table I have the department name, which is sorry, where it, yeah, here in this table, I have the employee ID column, I have the employee name column, department ID column, and department name column. Okay. Simply, my department name, here I'm talking about the department name, which is depending on the department ID, but this department name is not directly depending on the employee ID column. Okay. Now, this is called the transitive dependency. And to remove that, I splitted my tables. In one table, I am only keeping this employee ID, employee name, and department ID, these three columns. And in another table, I am only keeping this department ID and department name. That is the thing in the third normalization, where we remove the transitive dependency. Clear? This,
But employee name is dependent of, sorry, employee ID is dependent of employee name, or vice versa. I'm not sure.
yeah, see, employee name is depending on your employee ID. There is no transitive dependency in this case. But if I talk about only this particular table, in this particular table, I have four columns. I can say that employee name is depending on the employee ID column. Similarly, department name is depending on the department ID column. Okay, but this department name column is indirectly or transitively depending on this employee ID column, but not it is directly depending. So, uh, mm, okay, let me take one more
But
example.
department ID is not dependent of employee ID neither.
Department ID is not depending on employee ID. No, no, it is depending. Employee ID and department ID, they are uniquely identifying the rows. So if in one table I have only employee ID and I have department ID, they both are unique column. They both are primary key. So individually they are identifying a row uniquely because of their unique values. That is fine in this case.
Maybe the word dependent is confusing me here. What does
Yeah,
dependent mean exactly?
see, in second normalization form note, we have partial dependency. Okay. In third normalization, we have transitive dependency. Okay. So these two type of dependency we are following in the normalization. Now, if I take, let's say, one more example for the third normalization. Mm, okay. Let me think of a easy example. Okay, let me drink water first. Guys, give me 2 minutes of time. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Samir, time to sleep, I think.
I think you're 1 hour ahead of me. It's time to sleep for you also, huh? And I'm sure it's time to sleep for Pranjali. She should be in bed right now.
Yeah, 12,
I think it's
9:30, and
midnight.
yours is
What time is
8:30,
it
right?
now? It's
You're in 8:30 zone, I'm in 9:30 zone, and she's in 12 o'clock zone. Sorry, not
yeah.
12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, my mistake.
I think she's GMT 5.5.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's 2 hours
ele-
ahead of me. So
11.
yeah, 11. Yes, 11.
Okay, guys. What you were discussing?
Time to sleep.
That's time for
Yeah,
bedtime.
yeah, I'm feeling sleepy, but I need to just finish the sequel so you can start your Excel tomorrow. Okay, we were at transitive dependency, right? Okay, so transitive dependency. Let's say if your A is depending on B, okay, and B is depending on C, okay, then here you see
A is
A is
dependent on
depending
C.
on B is depending on C, then your A will depend on C, okay. So this particular instance where your A is depending on C is called as transitive dependency, like a chain, okay.
Okay, this I understand, but what do we mean by the word dependent? Is it like it has nothing to do with the table itself, but it's just the explanation of the
Depending means
columns? Yes.
depending means suppose you have one table, very simple thing, okay. Suppose you have one table, like student table, okay. Now you have name of the student, you have student name column, and you have, let's say, phone number column, and you have, let's say, subject column, okay. Now, okay, one more thing, student id column you can. Now I can say in this table, okay, in this table, my student name column is depending on student ID, means if I want to identify a phone number, if I want to fetch phone number of, let's say, Semi, okay, and now let's say I have three Semis in my school, okay. Now if uh, I want to fetch detail of Semi whose student ID is 01, so for that I will write query in such a way where I am giving the condition that I want to fetch details where student ID is equals to 1. So here, just by having the name of student I cannot fetch that value, but because I have the student ID column which is uniquely identifying this record of student ID semi 01, student ID semi 02, or student ID semi 03, I can simply fetch the details with a ease, okay. If I don't have the student ID column, and if I ask you, say I want to have details of Semi, and now if you will write, okay, if you will write query, uh, write query to fetch the phone number, so you will write select phone number from student table where name, student name is equals to Semi. So in that case you will have three phone numbers because you have three Semis in your school. But if you have the student ID column, so in that case, you can give that student ID, that particular student ID in the condition. So if you want to, if your manager or like sorry, Your principal says, Semi, fetch the details of student whose student ID is 03. Okay. So in that case, you know that you need to provide the student ID 03, and you will have only one detail of Semi whose student ID is 03. So this is the purpose when I say is depending. So this student ID column is definitely depending on the student ID column. Sorry, this student name column. Okay. You understanding here? Just because of this student ID column, I am easily identifying that I want to have detail of semi 03. But if I don't have this student ID column with me, so there will be confusion in the output. I will get three result for the semi phone number. And it is difficult for me to choose between these three. So, whenever you have a big table, and if you're giving a situation like if you want to fetch detail of a particular employee, in that case, you give the condition that this is the employee ID, this is the situation, and I want to fetch the details of this particular employee. So, obviously, my employee name column is depending. Because of that employee ID column, I am able to fetch the detail of Semi or Navi because both have a unique employee ID. So my column is depending. Somehow it is depending. If it is not there, then I will have the confusion, right? That is the meaning of depending.
Yep.
Clear? Still
Uh,
confusion?
this this is clear. This is clear. For me, it's clear. Uh,
Semi?
Yes, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So, a sorry, student analyst, a data analyst must also understand what are the
Yes.
columns referring to in real life, correct? To have some
Right.
certain
Right.
logic.
Right, this is logic, and this will come if you start practicing the sequel, this will automatically come. It's
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
it don't need any extra practice, but whenever you start working on tables and you start working on the databases, like here you have multiple tables, Sammy, multiple tables, and this is the advantage of having the SQL server, because you have the multiple tables and any time you can apply whatever phenomena you have learned in the SQL, and you can simply apply your count, your joins, your subqueries. So as much as you practice, there will be no confusion for sure at the end. Okay. So third normalization is clear, or you want one more example for the third normalization,
for me, it's
guys?
okay.
No. No, see, it should be clear. It should be clear. If
This
you're
is
not
this is
getting
very
it, you
much
can
clear.
have.
This is very much clear because it is similar to what sometimes I'll tell an example.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a good example I can tell you. I have
Okay.
a file which I recently made it. There are two files.
Mm-hmm.
One is the port information, because since everyone knows the word is port, right? The port information, the port names, and the throughput, and I just take only two fields, port and throughput, and the date field as well. Another table, again the port name, infrastructure, and date table. So the date tables are both in different format, and I try to upload in Power BI, and I want to modeling the table. For example, I have to connect the table. I can connect the table. So in that case, the date format is entirely different. So when I'm selecting a date, I'm not getting the data of one table. I'm selecting date from that table. I'm not getting the second table.
Mm-hmm.
What I done, I concatenate the
Mm-hmm.
port name. So basically, I derived a separate table for date. Forget the date format. I concatenate the port name with the date format to make a unique set of information.
Mm-hmm.
So that means if I see the throughput of a port called as, for example, Navasheva, which is in India. So basically, Navasheva, Jan 2023,
Mm-hmm.
100,000. At the same time, the same concat I done in the another sheet, I can based on this field, I can retrieve from the port size, which is length of 30 meter, capacity of 100,000. So yeah, that's what I done recently. So based on that, yes, based on that database, this is the best way of doing that. I understand.
Okay. Okay.
You guys understand, right? I understand. I think Sami is with
Nabir,
okay.
Nabir, what I understood from you is that your company should be paying for your course.
There you go. Time run. Now I will tell you a good example.
Wow,
I'll tell you something
Sammy,
that.
what a conclusion.
Okay. Yeah, because recently, see, these of the database, like what Pranjali said, right? So when you
Hmm.
work on database, from my work all based on Excel, sorry, not any system wise. Yeah. Power BI, just I'm trying to and learn something. Then I understand that the Pranjali team is there, so they will teach me Power BI. So I just keep it aside that now. So Excel may sometimes we have to concat two fields to get the same set of information from the other table. So I've done it this many times. So based on that, I'm talking.
Yeah, I told you.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys.
Sorry because I'm still using the like what I said, sir, Sami sir. I'm using the personal laptop for I used. I can easily it will be understand for you guys as well. Not guys, no, yeah, to Sami only.
So Sammy,
Right.
now what Sammy will do now, Nabi, Sammy will create his own database and then he will explain us whatever normalization we are talking about. No, so that time,
That time I
Sammy,
asked some expert Sami, I'll
yeah,
call access Pani and
No,
tell him,
no,
Sami.
yeah.
first thing I'm gonna do is to apply for a job at PwC.
Okay.
DWC.
Isn't that where you're working, PwC?
No, I'm in DP World, Dubai Ports World. DW is
Ah,
Dubai World
Dubai
Trade
Port.
Worlds.
Sorry, Dubai Port. Whatever. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'll read the course and I'll get it through slowly. No problem. No issues.
Always
I'll
welcome.
get there. Don't worry.
What should I say? Inshallah, Sammy.
Yes.
Yes, inshallah. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now we have the last type of normalization, which is Boise-Codd. Okay. Boise-Codd, you can also understood it by like strict version of your third normalization. So the first condition, obviously, it says that your table should be in third normalization form. Okay. And the second rule says that every oh, see how much I want to sleep. Every determinant must be a candidate key. Candidate key means your primary key. Okay. So if I am saying determinate means determinate you can understood like any attribute that can uniquely determine another attribute. Okay.
Mhm.
So for example, we have one table where we have, let's say, professor ID column. We have course ID column and we have professor name column. Okay. These three column we have in one table. Now here, if I'm talking about determine, okay, determinant. So here, professor ID column is basically determining professor name, right?
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, professor name column. Okay. Course ID. Course ID column is also I can say determining professor ID. But here professor ID is a candidate key, means it is a primary key because it is a unique values or unique column, I can say, which is uniquely identifying the professor ID rows, okay, or column. But the course ID is not a candidate key or not a primary key. Why? Because uh, you know there can be multiple courses which may be taught by the same professor. Okay, so suppose in my table, in this table, let's say if I have values, like say professor ID is 1, okay, and course ID is, let's say, 101, and let's say professor is Sami. Okay, now we have professor ID 2. Okay, and course ID is, let's say, 102, and this time professor name is Nabil, and let's say professor ID is 3, course ID is, mm, let's say, 101, and this time professor is Pranjali. Okay, so Pranjali, if Sami is teaching SQL, Pranjali will also can also teach SQL. So here what I want to say that professor ID will be unique. Okay, so professor ID is basically determining here professor name, and now here professor ID is my primary key, is my candidate key. Here course ID is also determining the professor ID, but what is going on here, that course ID is definitely not a candidate key because multiple courses can be taught by the same professor. Okay, so suppose if I talk about here multiple courses, so there are chances that Sami is also teaching 102. Sami is also teaching, let's say if we have one course as 103, and Sami is teaching all three subjects, all three courses. Okay, so that is why I'm saying that the course ID is not a candidate key because there can be multiple courses, okay, with a same teacher can be teach. Okay, now here if I want to remove such situation, if I want to convert my table into the Boise chord normalization form, as I said, it is a strict version of third normalization. Again, what I will do, I will split my table, and this time what I will do, in my first table, I will have the professor ID and professor name in one table, and course course ID and professor ID in one table. So now if I talk about the key difference of your first normalization, second normalization, third normalization, and Boyce-Codd normalization. So in first normalization, what we have done, we make sure in the first normalization there was no multiple value in a row. In the second normalization, we remove the partial dependency. In the third normalization, we remove transitive dependency. Okay. In the Boise chord normalization, what we have done, we make sure that no determinant that is not a primary key is determining uh, what I can say. Yeah, we remove the determinant which is not a primary key. Or we can write remove the. No, I think we can write no determinant that is not a primary key. So this is the conclusion. Okay, again, normalization, it is just a process to organize your data where you follow further step by step procedure. First you make sure to remove the multiple value in a row, then in the second normalization you remove the partial dependency, in the third you remove your uh, uh, what I say, transitive dependency, and in Boise chord normal form, you make sure that no determinant that is not a primary key. So here, like in this table, okay, let me give you one more example. Mm, Boise chord. Let me see if I have in the slides. Okay. Mm, okay. No, I think it. Let's take one table. Okay. You guys are there, right? Hello, Sammy, Naveed, you guys are there?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Yes, we're
Right.
there.
you guys are quite. So
One
I
more
think,
else you heard, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Sammy is there. Yeah. Okay, so let's take the example. Okay, mm, let's have, suppose we have table where we have student ID column, course ID column, professor ID column, and professor name column. Okay, and now here our primary key, what is our primary key? Our primary key is student ID, and let's say, not let's say, but student, because here we have student ID, course ID, professor ID, and professor name. Okay, don't think like in the previous table we were not taking that course ID as primary key. This is completely different table, the columns are different, values are different. Okay, so here I have the student ID and course ID. I'm taking this two column as my primary key. Okay, now professor, I can say that professor ID is determining or is depending, sorry, professor name is depending on the professor ID, is depending on Professor ID, right? But here you see the professor ID. Here student ID and course ID, the primary key. Okay. Professor name is depending on the professor ID, but the professor ID is not a candidate key. Why I'm telling this is not a candidate key, this is not a primary key? Can you guys tell me why it is violating the Boycott normal form? This is the
Sorry,
table where
can you repeat again the question? Sorry.
okay, so this is the table. We have the table where we have the student ID, course ID, professor ID, and professor name. Okay, this is the table we have. Now, here student ID and course ID, these both columns together, they are forming the primary key. Now, I can say that my professor name is depending on the professor ID column. Okay, it is not depending on the student ID and course ID column, but it is depending on the professor ID column. Okay, now here I'm saying this professor ID is not a primary key or not a candidate key. Why?
The browser can repeat, na, student ID, multiple
Right,
students.
right. So in this table, student ID and course ID, what they are doing, basically they are identifying the table. Okay, the entire table. But because as you said, the professors can be like we can have the multiple professors like for the same subject a professor. Hello.
Sorry, my kid is here. Yeah.
Okay, so now we understood that professor name is depending on the professor ID, but professor ID is not a primary key over here. So we understood that this is violating the Boycott normal form. Okay, and here what we will do, we will split the table. So how we can split the table? So in one table we can only have student ID, we can have course ID, and we can have professor ID column. Okay. And in one table we can have professor ID and professor name column. So you understood what we have done, guys?
Mm, looking that only.
Okay, we
So
understood
basically,
what you've done, but we don't
yeah.
maybe, I still don't see any,
See,
what's
what is the
behind it, the
purpose?
purpose.
What is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
purpose? So the purpose is, as I said, only the organization. That's it, nothing else. Okay, what I will do, I will give you a word file for the normalization. Okay, you practice from your end. Uh, Maybe in this weekend, if you can practice, okay, and you can ping me. So on weekend as well, we can connect. Like if you have any difficulty, no, you can simply ping me that Pranjali, I'm facing difficulty on this topic. Let's connect. Can we connect on weekend? Okay, I will arrange one call and we can have one more session. Like we can have like a entire doubt session for this. But first, practice and make sure you're completing the word file which I'm going to send over mail. Then you come to me if you're still facing difficulty to understand this functionality. Okay.
Who is going to do the Excel training?
mm,
It's not you.
Payal, no, Payal,
Yeah, then we can disturb you in the.
sorry, what?
Then we can disturb you in the between the Excel class as
Yeah,
well, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely you guys can disturb me anytime, I will be there. That
Okay,
thing I
cool.
can assure you.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
See, from the theoretical part, somewhere we are able to capture.
Mm-hmm.
But like what Sami said, whenever the occurrence, right? So what time this kind of what called coding
Yeah.
is necessary, which we didn't understand, right? So some of them I understand, like what I said, the duplicates, uh,
Mm-hmm.
the examples which I but
See,
not.
normalization is, you can understand it, it is a theoretical part. Okay. Theoretical part with certain rules which we follow. So it's not a
Okay.
coding thing. It is not just writing the script or making any functionality to work. It is just set of rules which we should be aware. Okay,
Okay. Got it. Got it.
just a theoretical thing. It is. That's it. It's just all playing with the tables. You're what you're doing. You're splitting one table into either two or three. That's it. That is the thing only comes in the normalization. Okay, let me quickly tell you about this adventure work. Okay, so this will be the recorded no, so you can watch the recording for this. What you need to do, you need to go to this. Let me just give you this link as well. Okay, I am sharing over chat. You guys can copy from here and bookmark this link. So what you need to do, go to this link, scroll down, and right now I do have 2022 and 2019, so I am installing this AdventureWorks 2017. So click on this. It will start downloading the file.
Okay.
Okay, so now don't open the file, just open your download. Okay, right click on that. Okay. Click on show on folder, right click on that, copy from here. Okay, go to your Windows, go to your program, Windows C. Okay, Windows C, then program files. Let me again go. Windows C, program files. Go on your search, type SQL, no, type
Okay.
MS SQL. Select your first file. Is still searching. No, let me SQL. Yeah, just type SQL. Okay, select this Microsoft SQL Server. Open this one. No, 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 no. MS SQL. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Here, type MS SQL. Select the first file appears over here. Click on that. Then open this MS SQL folder. Open your backup and here just paste it. Okay. What we have done, we have copied from there. Come to your Windows C, come to your program files, open your program files, search here MS SQL, open your first link, okay, first folder, open your MS SQL, open your backup, and then paste it over here. Now close it, okay, simply close it. Now come back to your MS SQL, okay. Now here, right click on your database, click on restore database, select this device radio button, click on these three dots, click on add, select AdventureWorks file. So for me, it was AdventureWorks 2017 because I already had this 2019 and 2022. Click on OK, click on OK once again, and then OK once again. It will show you the message database AdventureWorks 2017 restored successfully. Click on OK and then refresh it from here. And now if I want to check, so expand this database, again refresh. Now you see AdventureWorks 2017 is here now. You guys want to do it right away? I can help you out. If you want to share your screen and do it.
Mm.
or you want to
Isn't there
watch all.
isn't there some small print screen on how to go through the steps one by one?
Mhm. Like you want to
Small
do it.
guide. Don't Isn't there like a small description or guide to go that you can send us?
Uh, okay, I will create one Word file for that. I will write in steps, but that I will share tomorrow.
Yeah,
That
no
is
issues, no
Yes.
issues. It's
No,
not like you're gonna go and practice
we
right now anyway.
yeah, that I will do. I will also share the normalization files as well
Okay.
for your practice. Okay, and again, practice your SQL concepts. Okay, ping me on whenever you get time. Whenever you're facing difficulty, I will be there all the time. If I am not available, I will ping you. Like we can connect by tomorrow or any other day, but I will connect for sure. Okay. You
okay.
guys are my priority. That is the first thing I can assure you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.